Hello, everyone. Welcome to Licata Live on this Tuesday, not Thursday, Stacy. Thank you for watching. Today is actually our first of a series of Real Estate Real Talk, which will occur on the third Tuesday during our Licata Live. And today we have a very special guest, Miss Stacy Barowich, who is with Movement Mortgage. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate it very much. And what we're trying to do with this series is really help people understand the entire process of purchasing or selling a home. So we're starting with buyers first, and typically someone may reach out to an agent and say, okay, I'm ready to buy a house. Well, what an agent should do is, of course, welcome that person and provide information. But one of the things that's really important is to have the buyer pre qualified through a trusted lender. And the reason for that is, of course, severalfold. One is, you don't want to go through the entire process and then find that you don't qualify for a particular reason or several reasons. But I think also it's really important because if you start looking for homes in a price range that's greater than what you can really afford, and then you find out later that you can't afford that price range, it's going to be really hard for you to be satisfied with anything else. So those are the two really most important reasons, I would say.
And I agree, Pat. Getting pre-approved it's fairly simple. It's very painless. You just contact your lender that usually your real estate works with because they have a good relationship and they know the market. And to get pre-approved, that way you can find out what your budget is, where and what loan programs are available. There are a lot of first-time homebuyer programs which have grants to help you with the down payment or 100% financing, so that lender can kind of guide you through those paths so that you can see what your budget is, and then that way you can set up the proper expectations on your search for homes. So Pat can set up the searches and make sure that they're in that price range or in the area in the price range that you're looking for.
And one of the things that's also important, Stacy, I believe, is knowing whether it's in an HOA.
Correct.
So if you could please let people know what kind of goes into figuring out what their payment is.
So usually what will happen is the lender will figure out your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus an HOA, because living in that community, you are legally obligated to pay the monthly dues on that purchase. So that kind of goes into what we call your debt to income ratio, which is part of the pre-approval process. We'll look at seeing, when you get your information to your lender, usually you'll fill out an application online. They have a secure link. And then you'll get that information over to the lender. Keep in mind the lender looks at the last 2 years of your employment, your residential history, and then they'll look at the last 2 months of bank statements. So they'll be looking for W-2s, pay stubs, and bank statements to see what we've got for income.
So is that what you require when someone is going through the pre-approval process?
Yes. Normally what I do is I have them fill out a loan application. I usually say, don't upload anything yet. Let me get your application. We'll look at what programs are available, because some will require copies of your tax returns and some will not, and depending on that. So usually the W-2 is acceptable. Now, if you're self-employed, we are going to need your business returns and your personal returns for the last 2 years.
Okay.
And then that way we can kind of determine what programs available and also what your interest rate's going to be. Keep in mind your interest rate when you get a mortgage is not tied to the person. It's tied to the property address. So if you look for, you get pre-approved today, and I quote you an interest rate of 6.5, and then we talk 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, again, because you're out looking for a house, you haven't found it, and you finally found it, that interest rate is probably more likely going to change between now and then. It just depends on what the bond market is doing, which is how interest rates are derived. So with your pre-approval, your loan officer will keep you abreast of any changes, significant changes in the market while you're in the pre-approval process.
Okay. Is there such a thing as locking in an interest rate?
There
at
is.
this point?
So there are two options. We do have a shop and lock program, where if their interest rates were considerably lower, I would recommend it. But right now, I probably wouldn't. Usually, with the shop and lock program, you can shop, you can lock the rate before you find the property, but it's usually within a 45-day time frame. So it's a really kind of short window, depending on if you want to, if you know that you're going to be able to find the property. You tell me, supply's a little low at this time of year, so it's a little hard, depending on where we're at.
It's true.
Maybe in the spring, maybe the shop and lock might work. If we think rates are going to go higher, that might be something, but that would be something you would discuss with your loan officer.
Okay.
I would also recommend anybody that's looking to go to a mortgage, refinance, purchase, or anything, is go to the optoutprescreening.com website. Your lender does not share your personal information with anybody. They're not allowed to. But what does happen is when your lender pulls your credit report, if they pull it from Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Now those people, those companies, actually can sell your contact information to other lenders, which we don't think is actually fair, but we're working through that. But this will help you stop unsolicited calls and texts from a barrage of companies that you know nothing of. So my recommendation always is to go to the optoutscreening.com. You go to the very bottom, and you can opt out for the next 5 years. So it's super easy.
And just using your email address, is that what it's?
You'll put your information in there, your phone number, your social security number, and your email address, so that way they know that they can do that. It's directly with the credit agencies. The opt-out screening isn't a third-party company. It's with the credit agency, so it makes sure. And it takes about 3 to 5 days for it to go into effect, so I always recommend with my clients, start there first.
That's the last thing that you want, is to be barraged with texts and calls. You know how frustrating it is.
Oh, and unsolicited calls
Yes.
from people you don't even know is frustrating. So and that's the best way to start that. But your lender should be able to meet with you. Most lenders can either meet you in person. We all know that there's a Zoom world out there. A good lender is available on the weekends. I'm available on the weekends because we know you guys work Monday through Friday most of the time. So we do a lot of consultations on the weekends as well.
Okay, that is wonderful. And I think, you have to really have a lot of trust and faith in your lender, because you're giving them really your important information. So it is important, and I would absolutely not want to provide information to someone that you don't know or who has not been referred to you as a trusted resource. It's incredibly important. So getting pre-approved for a mortgage, as I stated earlier, is really the best first step before you start looking for a home. Then what typically comes next is you work with your agent, and sometimes it only takes a couple weeks to find the perfect place. Sometimes it takes several months. So as Stacy said, kind of based on what the market is doing, she can give you an idea of whether that shop and lock makes sense at that point in time or not. So one thing that I would like to ask Stacy about is for one of the loan programs, and I think it might be BHDA, if there is overtime income. Is it BHDA? Which one is it?
If you've got overtime, FHA and conventional, VHDA does both. The VHDA stands for Virginia Housing, and so they actually, for the state of Virginia, they offer grants and down payment assistance and everything. So that is a household income program. So you have restrictions on your income per household. But if you have overtime, the lender's going to look at the last 2 years for overtime. Same with bonus and commission. If you get bonus and commission, we're going to look over the last 2 years. So I always ask my clients to get their year-end pay stub for 2022, 2023, and 2024, so we can see the breakdown, and that way we can average the last 2 years of commission and bonus in most cases. Some cases, if you've only had overtime for a year, it is possible to use it. Just depends on the program, and so you just kind of, your lender is the person who's going to be your biggest advocate on what program and how much income we can and can't use.
Okay. So as far as loan programs are concerned, that's something that we'll have Stacy come back
Mm-hmm.
at a future real estate real talk, so we can give you an idea about how many different loan programs there are, because
There's
there
a lot.
certainly are several. And as Stacy said earlier, you may qualify for three or four, but one may have more of a down payment required than the other. So she'll take all of that information into a decision as to how best to advise you as to perhaps what your first best is, or first and second options are, so that you can decide what's best for you. And
Absolutely.
then that's the time to physically go out and start looking for your perfect place. So Stacy with Movement Mortgage, and she is phenomenal. Been doing business with Stacy for many years. And Stacy, why don't you give people your information in case they would like to contact you?
Absolutely. I can be reached at 703-629-6678. That's my cell phone number. You can text, you can call. My email address is, I've got a really long last name, so if you want other contact information, just ping this, and Mary and Pat can get you my email address. But text is usually the best for me. So again, my phone number is 703-629-6678, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, Stacy, and stay tuned for our February Real Estate Real Talk. Sorry, I'm trying to get the date here real quickly. It is going to be the 25th of February, and that will be with a home inspector who's going to share with you what goes into a home inspection, because once you make an offer and get it accepted on a property, most people do have a home inspection so that they can learn about the systems of the home that they're purchasing, as well as any other issues that may need to be addressed with an addendum in order to move forward. But we'll get to that next month. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stacy.
Uh-huh.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye.